I don't remember the funeral clearly. I remember shoes black, scuffed at the toes, lined up at the edge of a carpet that smelled faintly of disinfectant. I remember the twins crying in turns, as if they had coordinated it so that one of them was always loud. And I remember how quickly people left once the food was gone. In the weeks that followed, everyone said some version of the same thing of call, if you need anything. I learned that what they meant was, don't actually call. When I did call once to ask if someone could watch the twins for an afternoon so I could sort paperwork at the bank, the answer came with conditions. Advice first, then a sigh, then a suggestion that maybe it was time to simplify my life, sell the apartment, move somewhere cheaper, maybe stay with someone for a bit. Though no one specified where, grief, I discovered, is expensive. Not just emotionally, but practically. The twins needed childcare. Bills didn't pause. My husband's salary vanished with him, and the small savings we had evaporated into hospital statements and legal fees. What surprised me most wasn't that people pulled away. It was how efficiently they did it, like a group agreeing, without discussion that this problem was no longer communal. I stopped asking. The call from my grandfather came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was rocking both twins at once, my back pressed into the arm of a chair that had lost its padding years ago. I almost let it go to voicemail because I didn't have the energy to explain my voice. He didn't ask how I was. He asked where I was. When I told him, there was a pause, not the kind filled with judgment, but the kind where someone is rearranging their day. Pack what you need, he said. There's room here. That was it. No questions about timelines. No speeches about resilience. No reminder of his resources or my responsibility to use them wisely. Just room. His house was bigger than I remembered, but quieter. The kind of quiet that doesn't echo. Staff moved around us with practiced discretion. No one asked what happened. No one asked how long we were staying. The twins slept through the night for the first time in months. My grandfather set a single rule, if you could call it that. Do what makes sense tomorrow. Don't worry about next year yet. I took that seriously. Tomorrow meant establishing routines, pediatricians, daycare nearby, work that fit around pickups and fevers, not the other way around. I chose a modest role at a small firm, despite suggestions, never from him, that I should aim higher, capitalize on proximity. He never introduced me as anything other than my name. Living there came with its own discomfort. I was acutely aware of the line between support and dependence, even though he never pushed me toward either side. I insisted on paying what I could. I insisted on managing my own finances. Pride, maybe, but also self-preservation. I needed to know I could stand. Years passed the way they do when life is finally stable quickly, without ceremony. The twins grew into opinions. My job became a career. A side project, consulting for small businesses that reminded me of our early years, grew slowly, then steadily. I kept my grandfather's name out of it entirely, not out of fear, but because I wanted the feedback to be honest. Success didn't arrive loudly. It arrived as predictability, as being able to say yes to school trips without checking balances, as not flinching when the phone rang. That was when the messages started. First, a cousin I hadn't heard from since the hospital. A congratulations that read like an introduction. Then an aunt, suggesting lunch to catch up. Old friends of the family reappeared with warmth that felt rehearsed. I didn't respond right away. Not out of spite, but because I needed to decide what access meant now. The meeting happened in a glass conference room downtown, neutral territory chosen deliberately. They arrived early, smiling too much. I noticed how often their eyes flicked to the windows, to the view. We exchanged pleasantries, talked about the twins, who were now tall enough to be bored by adult conversations. Talked about my work. Compliments layered over questions. Then one of them, braver than the others, mentioned a potential partnership, something mutually beneficial, a way to reconnect. I listened. I asked for clarification. I took notes. When I said I'd need time, they nodded, relieved, already planning the next step. They didn't expect the attorney. She entered quietly, placed a folder on the table, and introduced herself with a calm that shifted the room's temperature. She spoke plainly. About structures. About boundaries. About what was and wasn't possible. No raised voices. No accusations. Just facts arranged carefully, leaving no gaps for negotiation. I watched Rekagon dawn, slow and unmistakable. This wasn't a door they could lean on. This wasn't a bridge they could cross with nostalgia. When the meeting ended, they shook hands politely. Their faces held a kind of stillness I hadn't seen before, not shock exactly, but recalibration. Outside, the city moved on. That evening, I sat on the back steps of the house with my grandfather. He didn't ask how it went. He didn't need to. "You handled it," he said, not as praise, but as observation. Later, after the twins were asleep, I thought about the people who had disappeared when my need was inconvenient. I thought about how easily resentment could have taken root, how tempting it would have been to enjoy the contrast now. But what I felt instead was maintenance. The ongoing work of choosing stability over spectacle. The house remained quiet. Support remained steady. Nothing had changed except my understanding of who belonged where. And that was enough.